donut tails. No donut tails and gout in tails. No broken tails. Yelp, yelp. Alright, where's my... boogies? Okay, let's see.
We've got movie sign with the Mads. We've got movie sign with the Mads. We've got movie sign with the Mads. Movie sign with the Mads.
Hi, I'm Frank Conniff.
Hi, I'm Trace Beaulieu.
And I'm Carolina Hidalgo, and this is Movie Sign with the Mads, where this week we get to talk about the new Alien movie, Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, how biblical.
Spaceships, monsters, all the stuff I like.
If you're looking for an alien movie, you're not going to be disappointed by this. This one hits all the buttons of, or whatever they would hit, of an alien movie. That if that's what you're into, I just don't see how you would not be satisfied by this.
Yeah, you got xenomorphs, you got robots, you got a good robot, a bad robot, an okay-looking spaceship. Not very happy with the design, but you know, I can rise above it.
Yeah, the reviews were mixed. People either loved it or they hated it.
I thought it was a thoroughly middling experience. Personally, I enjoyed it.
I'm gonna draw whatever.
I was entertained by it as I was watching.
I don't know.
I
It's
thought
just
it was
like
all pretty conventional, pretty unsurprising, predictable. You know, but good. Some good, scary alien stuff in it. You know, but we've seen. You know, we've been on this flight before many times.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have.
it didn't bring anything new to it,
No.
but if you're out looking for an alien movie to watch this summer, and you can't get to Passengers because it's no longer in the theater, why couldn't the alien have attacked that ship?
That I would have liked. You know, and I would have liked just if it had killed the Chris Pine character and
Chris Pratt.
Chris
Yeah,
Pratt.
they're all the same. Yeah.
Pratt, yes,
And
Chris
then-
Pratt,
and-
Chris Pine.
And if one of the aliens had been a genius and could figure out a way for Jennifer
Lawrence.
to go back to sleep on the ship, that would have been like a happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, luckily that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed. You know, first of all, I got to say that everybody in the theater who was watching this with me enjoyed it because it was me and my wife Katie. We're the only people in the theater watching this. So screw your big screen TVs. I can go to the movies on Tuesday for $5 and see the biggest screen. This I liked the Fastbinder character a lot. I thought he did a fantastic job playing
I'm
both good and bad alien or robots. You know,
The
this
hell?
didn't really bring new stuff, like we said.
hi Wikipedia.
But I was happy with what it did bring. It was sort of a reboot.
I was
in a
like
way
just seeing
of
data
you know,
numbers
we're never going to be
on your post, but I guess you were
startled by
trying to
a
post
thing
an
coming out
emoticon
of
or
the
something.
chest again.
Well,
That's right.
Yeah, I think a lot of Ridley Scott wanted to go more into the beginning of mankind, like the engineers who made mankind. He wanted to make it more philosophical, but then after Prometheus came out, he decided, you know what, people want aliens, we're going to give them aliens. This happens to
Yeah.
be a not direct sequel, but well, almost direct sequel to
10 years later, right?
to Prometheus,
yeah.
and that happens before
Prometheus.
the original Alien movies. And so that's why you don't really see the actual xenomorphs that you normally see. You see different kinds.
Yeah,
And-
well, they're all kind of based on what they eat, right? Like you
Yeah.
are what you eat, you know. And so
you are what you
like
impregnate.
Oh, yeah. In Alien 3, you know, it goes into a dog and then it becomes a dog-looking like thing. And in the where does this fit on the whole Predator timeline?
I think the scientific explanation is that they were both made by the same movie studio.
It is an
20th Century
honor.
Fox.
Yeah.
The Predator, the Alien versus Predator movies, that thing, a lot of people like to consider that not canon. Because it's just so complicated.
What about Canon versus Barnaby Jones? Was that considered canon?
No.
Okay.
It does have there's a lot of weird unexplained things that go on that you wish that they would answer the questions to. But I think they kept a lot of it open because they're looking to make another movie, Alien Awakening, which is a movie that would be between
Between this one
and Aliens.
Oh my gosh, it's so complicated.
There's
It's
either
Prometheus
one or two more in the pipeline.
But,
yes, Prometheus, Awakening, and then Covenant,
But
and
the
then another
aliens
one.
did awaken in this one. Why would they call the next one Alien Awakening?
Well, no, it's actually explaining after what Prometheus happened to Covenant. Now that I'm remembering
Wouldn't this be the Quickening? Oh, no, wait, that's a different franchise.
But we know that's the thing about this movie, too, is that since it's a prequel, we know that no matter what any of these characters do, there's going to be a shit ton of aliens coming down the pike eventually.
Yes.
No matter what their efforts to stop, and they're like, we can't let you on this ship. We got to get the alien off the ship. And no matter what they do, we know people are going to die for centuries from these fucking aliens.
Every crew.
Well, people love aliens. There's a Netflix series in the work that centers on the lives of a bunch of pretentious hipster aliens that live in Brooklyn, and they devour each other.
Sorry about that.
You're actually believing me, and it's
I was like, wow, really? They greenland? Oh God.
Yeah, the Xenomorphs have a coffee shop.
Weird happened on my computer.
There's a really
it was just my backup.
just so disgusting where a bunch of Mass Brothers chocolate bursts out of a person's chest. And by the way, there's nothing more horrifying in the world
on Picardo.
than Mass Brothers chocolate made by Brooklyn hipster chocolatiers.
We are banned. We are now banned.
Oh, is this is your most hated chocolate place? Yes.
It's not a place. Well, then maybe they have a place, but they sell them at stores all over the town.
Yeah.
Oh,
it angered Frank that he will remember this till the end of days.
So if you loaded up with this chocolate, an alien wouldn't attack you.
No, it wouldn't. It would be like, why don't you just fucking eat carob, asshole?
Arab asshole.
The kill scenes were my favorite part of the movie.
The earlier.
Can I make
kind
an
of
auto
when the littler
Xenomorph? Deja
aliens
Blue
came
88
out
on YouTube.
of the bodies, and I think that was maybe
No,
the best
why would
sequence
I
in the
do
movie
that?
was
That's
the one
awful.
On the spaceship that gets blown up, where it comes out of they bring him back, and it comes out of the guy, and it's inside that contained space.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a blood burst. That's not a chest burst.
Is that the technical term?
I can't believe I know this.
It's a blood burst?
Yeah.
But it kind of looked like it came out of his back and his mouth.
Yeah, it's a blood burst. It came out like it just blood everywhere. They call it a blood burster scene because these were more primitive xenomorph type of aliens. Their gestation period was a lot shorter, obviously. It would take minutes sometimes, as opposed to the original alien.
An otter
John
xenomorph
Hurt
would kind of look
like be okay. He'd have a good false sense of security, and then he'd be eating something, and then all of a sudden it would come out.
But that's not then that's not the original Jesper, because that's coming down. That's
and
in the future of this storyline, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying they got.
So these are like
better.
the originals.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to.
He would break oysters on his tummy.
So I know where and when to stop hating it.
There you go.
I went to the University of YouTube to find this all out. I got my degree, and now I know what all the aliens.
Hello,
kinds
Mr.
are like.
Ye from San Francisco.
I snark on this film because it's.
What did I think of the DuckTales reboot? I liked it. Woo.
Enjoy a good summer sci-fi.
It's a good monster movie. There's no getting around it.
I think
so. It's but I'm just saying that it's a good movie in the vein of a lot of other movies.
A juggler vein.
But I just do feel like some of the characters were a little one-dimensional in some ways. Like I really didn't care for them as much as I did.
Yeah, they tried to be have depth that just was never developed or anything. There was this whole thing with Billy Crudup, right? That's the actor who's very
Billy
I thought was
Crystal.
actually very good in this role. He kind of plays a guy who's thrust into leadership and he's not quite secure about it. And he just did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
But they had this whole kind of thread about him being a person of faith and him being religious. And I don't know, is the movie anti-religion? Because he has a horrible end. So there's kind of, sometimes in movies like this, it feels like we've got to give the actors something to play. We've got to give them some kind of character arc.
Is the
or
Alien
something.
Covenant
But
the
in
one
this
that came
case,
out
in
like
the case of the
recently?
Billy
Like
Crudup
it was
character,
this year, right? I can't even
he,
remember. Gosh.
You know, it just didn't lead anywhere. I didn't think it was just kind of filling up time.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many characters that they have to service
Yeah,
that it's hard to make them any more than one-dimensional.
yeah,
And
yeah,
this is
you
the
know,
same guy that wrote the Bond movies.
Yeah,
the last
John
couple of
Logan,
Bond-
right?
Yeah.
Who I believe, unless
Going
I'm
back to
mistaken,
Roomies, you need to say something about Mary's
he's
design.
A competitor of
Oh,
ours as a podcaster.
right. You want to
really?
say
Yes,
that
he has
she's
a
thick,
There's another
right?
person talking about movies on a
What?
podcast.
Wow.
Apparently, I haven't heard it. He has a great podcast about screenwriting.
Oh, wow.
Unless I'm mistaking him for some other guy.
Well, then maybe he can explain
Why
the
are we
last James
promoting
Bond
them?
movie to me.
No.
But
I might
yeah,
mess
it's-
with the designs a little bit
yeah,
in the next video because I think
movie,
maybe I did go a little
or
overboard.
any movie
I
like
think it was
this
just
saying,
going
"Wow,
with
I
a
really hope there's some
more,
good character arcs in this." You know,
That's
You re-
true. The only arc
just
is
going
this,
back
the,
to,
Yeah.
trail of
I
blood
guess,
through
the
air.
roots of
You're
their
like,
design.
I know you have to have some character
Because
stuff.
I don't know, I feel more
Get
comfortable
please
drawing
get to
them
the
that way.
monsters, killing them as soon as
But
possible, 'cause
I'll
that's what we paid
probably
our
just
money
mix
for.
it up a little
Although,
bit.
you know, now that I think
I'm
of it, like the first Alien, the
I'm
Sigourney
probably gonna
Weaver
like
one,
simplify them a little
one
bit
thing that
more.
I think
but
was smart about that movie is
it's all up in the air.
The characters were very like underdeveloped in kind of a way that worked for the movie. I thought like they were because they were all
Zootopia
just kind
cancer.
of there for the alien to attack.
The
them,
hell does that
you know?
mean?
Yeah, well, the ship itself and
Yeah.
the derelict ship and the alien itself, I think those were the biggest characters.
Yeah, and also the first one, and I remember reading interviews with Dan O'Bannon, who is no longer with us, was a great talent.
Cold and
He
humid?
created the alien
I've never
character,
heard
worked
those
on a
two
lot of
words in the
other,
same sentence.
Movies.
Cold
really
and humid?
tremendous. Worked with
It's
John
either
Carpenter
cold
a
or
lot.
humid.
I remember him saying that they made a real point of
Thank God
making
what? What the hell are you
the-
talking
the
about,
ship
Red Scare
in
Channel?
The original Alien, very much like a working class kind of ship. You know, these are
yeah,
all
it
working
was a
class.
mining ship.
A mining ship. There's no like egghead professor there. It's like in other movies.
Independence Day.
Huh?
Independence Day.
Yes, to kind of explain things to everyone. Like they didn't waste a lot of time on stuff like that, and that's one of the good things about the movie. And also another good thing about the original movie is how it was.
Is he saying Zootopia
really
is cancer?
influenced by the original The Thing in a really great way. The
Yeah.
original Howard Hawks.
Zootopia
and
was
it
great. Get the
left
fuck out.
a monster largely to your imagination. You didn't know what it was going to look like or when it was coming back.
Yeah.
And they, like a lot of movies in that same era were more like resumes for special effects guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to see every square inch of this rubber molded monster because I used a lot of rubber molding material in my mother's basement, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
Not to bag on those guys, but
No,
fucking guys.
it's and then I think when James Cameron did the second one, what he did that was really smart was make it similar, but also take it in a completely different direction
With
and make
the
it
Queen,
make
alien,
it and make it much
Yeah.
more of a war movie. You know?
Oh yeah,
Well,
because
then
the
there was-
military came in to
Yeah.
do a rescue mission, right?
Yeah.
yeah, and there was stuff we hadn't seen before. It wasn't just a rehash of the first one. We knew what the consequences were, but we didn't, we hadn't realized where they were all coming from. And then to reveal the Queen was the coolest part of that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, and I may be wrong about this, but I think that Cameron was hired to write the screenplay to the sequel, and then he made Terminator, and then they were like, "Oh man, you're a pretty fucking good director." So then they let him direct Aliens. I
know
think
what
that was
anyone's
the
talking
sequence of
about.
events of how that happened.
He definitely had a good
Hi,
resume
Queen.
because James Cameron, he was the practical effects supervisor. Or he
No, let's
worked
talk
in
about
a
Zootopia.
movie called Galaxy of Terror, which is pretty much
Because
an
Zootopia
alien
was a great
ripoff.
movie.
And it's the
You
same
know that they're
idea.
coming out
Crew,
with
they all get isolated. They all die
figures
slowly by like some
of the main
worm alien
characters
thing.
pretty soon.
And he
Like really
the
good
reason
ones.
why
They're
he just
Reveltech ones.
got up top is because he used practical
Let's
effects
piss
that
off
were
Red
very
Scare
cheap
Channel.
and easy, but in such a smart way that it looked great.
Yeah.
And it's because of that I think they're like, well, he could totally make aliens. I think they saw that movie and they were very impressed, especially with the budget that he had.
Yeah.
And
Well, and in Aliens, there's a lot of practical effects that are still very convincing, more so than a lot of the CGI Michael Bay.
I don't know if I
stuff
want a
that you can
Zootopia
find all over
2
the place.
because
yeah, that's true. They
I'm
did
allergic
do
to
CGI. I
sequels.
mean, we all kind of wanted
but
the guy in a suit.
yeah, I thought the first one
like
was
like
great.
the original one, but you know they CGI'd the Alien Covenant. I
need
was
to
still
see it
scared
again
though.
at some point.
Yeah, it
Some
had
people
some
weren't
scary-
scared, but I was
No,
scared.
saw
there
us
was
poo
scary.
on
There were
Twitch.
scary scenes, predictable but scary.
Yeah, a lot of people did complain that the crew was a lot.
Someone's
dumber
always got to hate something.
than because in the original
some
Alien
people are
movies,
louder than others.
The alien, the Xenomorph would like trick you and like find you, and it was just a smarter way. To try to get away from him, and then but then I was thinking, like, this is an early primitive. This is a Velociraptor.
Right.
Yeah.
This alien coming. He's like slamming into doors and everything. He doesn't know how. He's like
I actually
slipping on his own
just
blood.
started listening to
Right,
this
right.
podcast.
So
I didn't
things like
know.
that. I don't know.
It was a podcast, honestly.
I like the kill scenes. I thought
Pretty
that
cool.
was
It's
the fun part.
Trace Beaulieu and
to
Frank
see all the
Conniff from
grossness and the
Mystery Science
gooiness
Theater
and
and
everything.
Yeah.
they just
while
talk
we're
about
eating
movies.
food at like
The Alamo, yes.
at the Alamo Draft House.
They talk about
We
movies
did
with
not
this lady who
care.
I can't remember
Did
the
you have
name
a
of.
chest burster pizza?
They should have had that. That would have been great.
Vampires, perverted creatures of the night.
They also have these interstitials of like
Evil is now a modern industry, backed by big money.
they could have portrayed the theme about prejudice a little better.
Brainwashing and
Okay, then you're asking for way too much because I think I don't want to get into it because I'm really I think people are grasping at straws.
The thirst is in all of us.
And a family as noble as hers, I'm sure the old thirst. You can run. You can hide. But you cannot escape. Thirst.
Yeah, they have these interstitials of like old movies.
There's some characters I
That
did
are just
not
like trailers.
I did
And I'm
like
kinda
David
curious
and
about
I did
watching
like
'em.
Walter very much. I thought that was
What, the
probably
robots?
my
Most
favorite
of 'em
part
are like-
You know what?
movie
I had a
was,
problem with
Bad
Fastbinder.
B
with the
movies.
bad guy robot. He was very Dr.
like
Smith
this
to me. He was very,
vampire movie
"Ew,"
called
and,
Thirst.
You know, that kind of
Oh,
like...
David.
Yeah.
I
that
could be
kind of
listening
like,
to the last
"Ew,
podcast
well,
on the
you-
left.
Well, he
there's
patterned
no
Make the otter say
time
whoa.
that we're having here.
Oh, I've been to those
Yeah.
kind of parties. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
that didn't bother me so much, and I liked that they played against, like, well, they've made some improvements
Eric,
since
say
your
whoa.
model because we found you to be
Whoa.
a little
That was my...
pretentious.
You remember I left at that moment when he came back and said, I thought you were dead. Well, they made some improvements. Like, I really liked that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too, and I.
But I have to say, though, it was kind of a little clunky storytelling, because we see the two robots fighting, and then we don't see the outcome of that fight. But then we see the guy who they're presenting as the good robot show up, and I think anyone would have figured out, which I did immediately, and I'm not that bright. I figured out this is probably the bad guy, and but this
Yeah.
is also from like every film that's ever made now.
Well,
where
right.
there's
it's the
always that flip,
switcheroo.
the switcheroo, and so it was absolutely no kind of shock or surprise when at the end he turns out to be,
No, I mean,
And-
we're
and
all
just
waiting
by-
for that.
just by
and I
not-
can't believe that the screenwriter even put that in there, thinking, are we that stupid that we
Yeah.
don't know that they're two guys that look exactly alike and they're fighting and one's good and one's
Yeah,
bad?
and it seems like
that the bad guy isn't going to come out on top
Yeah.
and show up later.
I know, but they made it so obvious just by the really, what I would think was just, like I said, clunky choice of, well, we're not going to show you what happened. Because when have you ever seen an action movie where you don't see the conclusion of a fight unless there's a reason not to see the conclusion of a fight?
Those are the rules.
Yeah. So that was one of the flaws.
Close
of the movie,
gaps on this thing.
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
I blame the writer for that one. That was unless he thought we were along for the ride with him, and we went, oh yeah, that's the bad robot. But then there's no big surprise when she finally realizes it. It's like,
hey,
were
Windstar,
you not paying attention for the last 20 minutes?
on Picardo.
Yeah, the kind of contemporary audience was kind of
I have to
obvious,
specify
like,
who I'm talking to and where, because I'm looking at three different things here.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, no.
I think only Frank saw that one.
And instead of the end, it said "fuck you" audience at the very end of it. We're making more of these assholes.
They might. Who knows?
Well, I hope they do, because I've liked all of them except 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Now, are those still canon?
Yes.
Carolina?
Yes, those are still considered canon.
No, they're
Alien
not.
3 is when they're in the prison planet, right, with Sigourney Weaver, and
They're not
4
considered
is 200
canon
years
anymore.
after that, where they take, because remember in Alien 3,
Maybe I
Sigourney
heard
Weaver
differently.
sacrifices herself, and she just jumps in a pit of fire, and for some reason,
Yeah, it's a lead works. She arrives at a lead works where they melt lead. You don't think the alien's going in the lead works at the end of the movie?
And if I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen that one in a long time. The reason Winona Ryder kills herself is because the alien isn't indie rock enough.
She's an android, but yeah, you're right. She fucked them all. Oh god, my mom heard that. No, but the fourth one, and they clone her.
And which is the one that has Josh Whedon as the credited writer? Is that 3 or 4?
I think that's 3.
Okay, because
But
what
I
I
could be
heard
wrong.
from a friend of Josh Whedon, or a colleague of his, told me once that his name is on that movie. He wrote barely any of it, and his name is not on Speed, but he wrote most of it.
Yeah, that's true. He did write most of the dialogue on Speed. He made that movie.
Wait, on Speed
Yes,
or
just think about that.
oh, the movie Speed?
I don't remember what alien was on Speed. Was that?
They're all on Speed. You see the way they run around and stuff?
Did they open up the emergency door in the back of the bus at the end and kick the Xenomorph off the bus?
One thing I read they tried for this movie, but they decided it didn't quite work, was at the end it was going to turn out that what the alien was doing was all based on what Anne Hathaway was doing on Earth.
Yes. The colossal joke.
If you have to explain it, it didn't work.
All of these movies end the same way. Kick the alien off the ship.
That was just using the airlock to get.
Sorry if I start laughing.
They've
It's just
done that
funny.
already. It was so, and the moment when the character goes, "Get off my ship," or whatever she says,
Thank you, Sauce Poo on Twitch.
Get out of here, asshole.
They're talking about Alien Covenant. I
I
think
got
that's the
you,
one that came
motherfuckers.
out
Oh,
recently.
No
They
one
seem
in
to
the
like
audience
it.
applauded because everyone was like, "Yeah, we've seen this already."
And
It's a tried and true way of
Yeah.
killing an alien in space.
the truck falls down. Like there's gravity in space. I like
Yeah.
that. I was like, oh, you're going down. How is that happening?
I know. I didn't even think of that till you just mentioned it.
Oh, they're still in low Earth orbit, so there's still some kind of gravity affecting the vehicle, and it's pretty heavy. It's massive. It's all about mass.
But can I ask, have any of the Alien sequels been about all of the aliens who were blown out of spaceships, like floating down to a planet and then attacking people? Because there's a lot of them out there.
With a lot of good voiceover work on
Yeah.
that one. Day 54. Yes, I know they're probably out there, and who knows what kind of spin-off
that's
comic
why I
book
don't
they're
wanna-
gonna get.
I don't want to go into space with all those aliens floating around, and they're pissed off too.
Yes. They're like angry cats when you put them in water. That's what they are. Yeah. So okay. So maybe we weren't looking for
The aliens are like
characters
just
or,
floating in
a
space
good
and they're
plot
angry
line,
cats.
because it wasn't one exactly, because Prometheus, obviously the ship disappears according to Earth.
Yeah,
Disappears.
and I
they're
have
like,
to-
let's send another one.
And I have to say, I kind of think I like Prometheus better, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's any sequence in this movie that's as good as the self-abortion sequence in Prometheus. And it sounds like maybe I'm trying to make a sick joke there, but there really is.
There really is a
and it
self-abortion
is
scene.
it is like a really kind of amazing sequence, and there's something I never saw in a movie before. So just on that level alone, that they did something new and scary in Prometheus, I think that makes me like that movie better than this one.
I thought that was the most badass thing I've ever seen. Like, if a rock falls into my shoe, I freak out thinking it's a spider, and I have a conniption fit. Imagine having to cut yourself free of this what's it called, the protomorph thing that comes out, and then it's like a squid-like
And
creature
also,
that kills
like,
the engineer in the end.
That was a really original take on it, because we've seen all of these movies where the alien comes out of the body. Yeah. But the riff on that being, oh my God, there's an alien in my body. If I don't get it out now, it's going to come out by itself,
Right. I don't know what I would do. I would just blow myself out into space, I guess.
Tie yourself to a truck and jump out the back door.
Night the Stooge.
Yes, Prometheus. I do believe it was better. I mean, because I like the whole idea of a ship going, because they're research scientists. They're not miners.
Yeah.
They're not military. They're actually trying to find out who created us.
Right.
And they find the engineers, who are the ones who supposedly created us. And it's like a race of people. People like people.
And can I ask, I didn't even quite get, was that whole thing where he says, I want to show you something, and then they see into the past or something, where it was it that planet? Remember, all those people are being attacked by that thing?
Yeah, when David...
You're getting too technical.
Yeah,
Frank.
I know.
when David took the ship with the doctor to the next Elizabeth Shaw to the engineer's
I had to
home
draw
world.
that.
Yes.
And upon arrival, David releases the pathogen that kills all the guys.
He decides to kill
It
all
was
the whole
pretty.
planet,
I mean, it was both
including the animals
goofball
and
and pretty frightening
because,
when you
he
think
has that
about
godlike
it.
complex that we see
That
in the first
scene.
Right.
where he thinks, I guess he had 10 years of, hanging out in space while she slept, thinking like, all right, I did all this research.
Medically?
Engineers, maybe
Well, it is
they don't
space
explain it
science,
perfectly
come
well,
on.
But maybe he thought, I got to make my own thing.
Right.
So I'm going to wipe
That's
them out
not what
and start
space
doing my
is
work.
like.
And that's what
Well,
he does.
and
I
because
watched
he had
Treasure
that
Planet,
creative,
and that's not what space is
thing
like.
that they had taken out of
Shut up,
the,
Neil
the
deGrasse
next
Tyson. No one cares
Right,
about your
right.
real science.
And that's
because
the
he was
message
an
of the
artist
film, the
working in a
non-creative.
very unpopular format. He decided to kill an entire planet.
Could have just joined a band.
That's the message of this film. Non-creative people are better than creative people.
Well, there are two kinds of robots, the Asimov robot and the non-Asimov robot. One, and that's actually what they did. That they actually did quote that in from a famous person writer. It's, would you like to
Famous
serve
person
in heaven
writer.
or reign in hell?
Right.
Which is maybe in the Bible or something.
I think Ozzy
Not well
Osbourne said that.
Yes. Out of all the things I lost, I miss my mind the most.
Who was the actress who played the main woman in this?
In this one, her name is Catherine Waterston. She's Sam Waterston's daughter.
Oh, really? And what else? She was good. What else was she?
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them
I
that came
didn't see
last
that
year,
one.
and
I've seen
a
her in
slew of other
something
movies.
else.
Yeah, I've never really. I recognize her, but I don't know. She was Inherent Vice.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she
Oh,
was in
wow,
that,
yeah.
Yeah. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, she was very good. She has a very unique kind of quality to her that I like.
She had that vulnerable strength thing that she had going on, which I really, really like. It wasn't.
I kind of like this
she wasn't like a carbon
podcast
copy
because
of
they're a little.
Ripley,
They're
'cause
not
who could be, but
Right.
she had her
super
own
critical
thing, and she held her own
about
and
stuff.
I really liked it. I thought.
Yeah, I like that
mean,
character
they still have
I
like a
liked
good
the,
sense of like what
Billy
they
Crudup
like and what
character.
they don't
I did
like.
not
It's
like
just
the character
I just like
with the
hearing
cowboy hat.
Crow
Danny
and
McBride.
TV's
Always a
Frank
guy with a
again.
cowboy
That's,
hat.
Danny, to me,
Tim
I know
Pickens.
people love Danny McBride, and to me, a little of him goes
Show
a
me
long
one.
way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in that same camp.
Yeah.
He is that chocolate you mentioned.
and
He
8
did
Dog
not bring
5K
anything to the
on
movie.
Picardo.
I think that maybe they
it's
hired
not
a
real
comedic-
science,
a
it's
comedic
space
actor
science.
to maybe
We
kinda
should
liven it
safely
up and being
assume
like
that in the
fun guy, like,
future,
let's party.
when we
You've
go
gotta
in
make the fact that
space,
your wife is killed funny.
this
Yeah,
is a
I
logical
know.
way
He
to do
just
science
did not
on
do a good
yourself.
job.
Funny fat
They
guy
said it
on,
wasn't
you
good,
know,
good
he's
to
either the
do,
engineering
but she
guy
did it
Right.
because
or, you know, he's
they
the
said it
mechanic
was
of something,
unsafe.
but
I can't
he's
believe
gonna
I'm
get killed first.
He has a
Or-
cowboy
because
hat
I actually
and
saw
everything.
He does
Prometheus a while
survive,
ago,
though.
and it's
He
like
does
while I
survive.
don't like
Spoiler.
that movie and I
Oh,
think
but
it's
yeah, that's
stupid,
what I was thinking. The same thing
um,
about Danny McBride.
I'm like,
was
that
John C.
scene was
Reilly
okay.
busy
I'm-
that
I'm-
week?
Yes.
I know
and I
he's
rarely
making 8
defend
movies.
a movie
Yeah,
on their
John C. Reilly
scenes.
killed it in
There are
the
movies
same
that
role
I just
in Skull Island. He
don't
was
like,
the
and I
highlight
will
of that
defend
film,
certain
easily.
scenes from it. But
Yes.
there's
But,
some movies where
that's
it's like,
another thing
I like
very
certain
weird about the plotting
scenes.
of this movie,
Or
too,
like I don't
is
like
that
certain scenes,
he,
but
you know,
I
he puts
I
the
like
ship
the
in
movie.
danger, and we, the audience, knows his wife is already dead.
Value
you know.
junk?
His
What's value
motivation is
junk?
to save his wife, and then he really is making kind of a very unprofessional decision,
Yeah.
where he's putting the entire crew in danger by doing what he does. You know, so it's kind of like it doesn't have that thing where you kind of root for him. You're like, yeah, you're breaking the rules, man. you're gonna go and you're gonna save your wife who's dead already. You know, it's kind of
Go
one
and
of the
save your
many
wife
things
who's
about
dead
the script that I think they didn't quite get right.
I agree. That was infuriating. I just felt
Yeah.
like everybody did something dumb to get them there. Just like
Yeah.
his wife, the medic, the doctor, when you know the blood bursting scenes coming out, and
Blood bursting.
you know Billy Crudup's wife, she's like, "Let me out, let me out," and she's stuck in there, and the girl's like, "I don't know what to do." Like they made this really smart science doctor person into a hysterical woman.
Right, and here's another thing is she doesn't open the door for her then because presumably, well, the alien is in there. It has to be contained. But then she goes and gets a gun. She comes back and then she opens the fucking door.
Oh my
Yes.
god!
Yeah.
Oh,
After it's too
frustrating.
late
You
to
don't
save the other
defend
to save
Felix
the other
Saves
woman, and so
Christmas.
she can flail about and shoot at the alien. It is like kind of dumb.
Well,
to
that's
think,
why
yeah.
you don't go
It's,
see a
you know,
movie with people who enjoy
the
something.
The space program was started by really smart, level-headed people.
I
And
know
as
Apache
time goes
on
on,
Twitch.
it becomes more
Picardo.
like popular music, and it's just anybody can be an astronaut.
Right.
Oh my god,
And
you're so
you can
right.
be an incredibly, stupid.
I probably
person
would act the
and
same
go
if
to
there was a
another planet,
movie about
because
animation.
you no longer need skills
and
or,
they
or
weren't
smarts.
They weren't
because we need
performing
so many
animation
people
right.
to populate
I
these
don't know. I
spaceships.
Yeah,
I
aren't
don't
they
know where I'm going
vetted? I
with
mean, what
I
I've heard
know.
about astronauts is that they are picked because they are like astronauts. I know there was a famous one I read about who, when something went wrong, they monitored his heartbeat, and his heartbeat actually slowed down
Right.
because he was
Yeah.
like, "All right, now I gotta focus."
Yeah, these guys were test
We had
pilots
a-
and just incredibly athletic people. But I'm telling you, in the future, anyone can go.
Yeah, don't go in the future. It's run by idiots. But you know, we had on the John Fugelsang Tell Me Everything, which I'm the co-host of, Monday
When?
through Fridays, 2 to 5 on Sirius XM, channel 121.
What?
We had an astronaut on our show one time, and
There's
he
another
said
show that Frank's on?
that, you know, he says like self-help gurus or whatever, they tell you like visual, you know, you're going towards a goal. They always say visualize your success. And he said when you're an astronaut, all you do is visualize your failure. He said all your preparation for it is what can go wrong, how will this screw up, how will I be a failure at this, so that you can be prepared for that moment, which I thought was a really interesting
I was born
thing
for
to
that
say.
job.
Yeah.
But
Matt
these
Damon
people
says
are
the
all
same thing in Martian. Matt Damon.
He does say that. I
Matt Damon
remember
went to
he
Mars.
does. He
Yeah.
says that at the very end of the movie, actually.
And if you look at his job before he was an astronaut, when he was a spy, he applies those same
Yeah.
I'm
same
not
ideas.
defending
he started
Prometheus.
out
I
as a
didn't like that
janitor, to be
movie. I'm
fair.
just
Yes.
saying.
So he
Come
really
on,
moved his
there's
way
worse things to worry
Yes.
Good
about.
for Matt Damon.
But they
Stop
even,
trying to
even
make
the
logical
kinda
sense about
characters in this
movies
film
that are
like,
fantasy.
they're
That's
kinda
what
the
ruins it
opposite
the
of that.
most. I'm sick
that
of it.
kind of,
We go to movies to escape
meticulous
reality, not to just
astronaut
make
mind,
it
because
reality.
The main character, her whole thing is, we wanted to go and go to this new planet and build a cabin. You know?
Yeah.
Hipsters.
And I have a
at
nail.
it again.
Yeah.
I have one nail, but I don't know how they work. What you don't? She has that ridiculous line where we have all the lumber in storage and a bunch of nails and a hammer, and I don't even know how it works. You're on a spaceship. It's like the inhabitants of the current White House are on a spaceship.
Yeah, which is not as scary as them being in the White House, but
There's
still.
nothing to eat them in the White House other than their own greed.
Yeah, you're right. They were very underqualified. I do believe that. And also, it was infuriating at times, but...
And it was James Franco was her husband, right?
James
In
Franco,
that-
yeah,
in
he had
that
a small
shot.
part in it. Well, a tiny part. He gets incinerated, which is also another thing. It's like, how does a pod accidentally just completely incinerate you?
It's oxygen-rich environment, and he was smoking in bed.
Trace is so right.
He was part of the Jack Cassidy program.
Oh,
I have to guess that he died smoking in bed.
okay. So another thing about these movies, Prometheus and this movie. So how many years in the future is this supposed to be? Hundreds?
No. It's actually 10 years afterwards.
No. But today, 2017.
well, hold on a sec.
It's 2140.
It's
2140.
So that's a full like 100 and like almost 130 years away.
2103. I'm sorry.
and we're still listening and recognizing John Denver music. So
Over 100 years later, yes.
Well, that's Trace. You know, that's a rule now in any sci-fi superhero because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
There has to be music from the 70s in it. That's just, that's canon in Hollywood.
that is canon.
well, and the first the Prometheus, the captain Idris Elba has the little accordion that he got from
Steven Stills.
Steven Stills.
And they're like, who's Steven Stills? I had to Google that.
Yeah,
They should
Give her
wish we
hair.
still had
I was
Google
thinking
so I could
about
find
that.
out who John Denver was.
Someone should, for one of these movies, should hire some great composer to write like, this is from that popular band from 2130 that we all love, and write like new songs.
Everyone's into like looking back at the 50s that we did in the 70s. They're looking back at the 2000s. Speaking of the music, I like the soundtrack. They pulled a lot of the Jerry Goldsmith stuff from the
Yes.
original.
Yeah, I liked
was
how
good.
that.
Thematically.
Anytime like that happened, you knew, oh, some real alien shit is coming up now.
Yeah.
They call that song Alien Shit on Spotify.
Alien shit.
No, I'm not sure.
Alien.
No, the music was good. I like the Jerry Goldsmith music a lot because it's very foreboding.
Oh yeah.
And you know what's going to happen, but it still freaks you out. Like I was in the theater when I saw
if I give her hair.
Alien Covenant, and unfortunately when I saw Alien versus Predator, and when I got to see Aliens, actually not when it came out 2 years ago. Oh no, a year ago I went to go see it, and Sigourney Weaver was a special guest, and she got to answer some good questions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And let me tell you, on the big screen, I don't know if you guys have seen it on the big screen.
I saw it when it was
Great.
first released.
Yeah?
On the big screen.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 1979, right? The first one.
1979. Yeah.
That's great. I wish I would have.
And you know the context of the first one too, and I remember Dan O'Bannon talking about this in interviews, is that like because of Spielberg and like Close Encounters.
I mean, I might try to
this
do some
movie
different
came out, like, on
variations
the
of
heels
this.
Close Encounters. And Close
So,
Encounters was like, oh, the
I don't
aliens
know.
are so cute and great
Yeah.
and loving,
I
and
don't know.
it's going to be so wonderful when we hook up with them. And Dan O'Bannon was like, I'm going to make you the scariest fucking alien you've ever seen, you know.
Get Geiger on the phone.
It was kind of like a reaction. As great as Close Encounters was, it was like, no, let's go in the other direction now and
It
go
was
back
smart.
to kind of where
Give
the way
her
we were
bangs,
used to
but shaved
aliens
in the back.
50s and stuff of being scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a couple of weeks
work.
there where we thought all the aliens were going to be our friends, like
Yeah.
E.T. and Close Encounters. But we don't deserve friends. We're horrible, horrible creatures.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to be friends with like this like it's not
See,
even
I'm gonna
race
try
of
to do some
creatures
different
so much as
variations
it is
of
a
this.
weapon in some ways.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what.
It's a disease. It's a virus.
Yeah,
That's what it is, a
came up with
parasite, right?
And that's why the franchise lives on to this day. Is they really did come up
So
with a really
I will
scary
duplicate this
monster.
later.
That's
Yeah.
Well,
kind
and
of-
it's a combination
And I
of all
will
that
move
stuff.
it
Dan
aside.
O'Banion's original concept,
Double
and
honor.
Giger's, design.
yeah.
We hadn't seen anything like that.
And by the way, both
I'm
of
gonna
those
work on this
people
one.
worked on the Dune movie that never got made.
Jodorowsky's
God,
Dune.
the
Go
Dune
see that
movie. Yeah, see that
documentary because it
documentary.
explains
That documentary is
where all
so
of this stuff came.
boring.
Yeah.
All
Honestly,
the
I don't want
design
to see it
elements in
again.
almost every movie that
Hi,
you love.
Blueberry.
Yeah, started
blueberry?
in that movie that never even got made.
On Picardo?
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh, actually, there is one friendly alien. If you guys remember, it's not canon, but he does sing a little song.
Okay,
Once he
I
bursts out
need
of
to
John
find
Hurt's
out
chest.
how to
Oh,
block
yes.
the
In
Red Scare channel on
Spaceballs.
The
YouTube.
funniest thing in
Yes.
Spaceballs,
Um,
I think.
Hello,
Yes,
Because
Madonna,
I'm not going
hello.
to take this
Yeah.
intolerance.
That was brilliant. That was great.
And
I'm-
John Hurt saying, "Not again."
I
He had
never-
the special.
I never knew that Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, I guess I knew it, but I guess I forgot that Jerry Goldsmith did the original Alien music. Yeah, I mean, he's such a great film composer. You know that.
Yes. Oh God.
Or
so
someone
many
go over to
iconic
their house
movies.
and
Jerry
kick 'em.
Goldsmith. Like Chinatown is a really great movie, right? He did the music for it.
Don't take
Because of
kindly
Jerry
to your
Goldsmith,
tops
it's great.
here.
Starting with the Paramount
I really don't
logo
care.
at the
It's just
beginning of the
people just
movie.
Yeah.
Because
latch
Jerry
onto a
Goldsmith's music
word,
comes in over the logo,
like a derogatory
and
word.
It immediately puts you in the vibe of Chinatown, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. And he also
Stop
did
finding the word
Arm
derogatory
Man
and
Flint
just
Inman Flint music,
just
which
move
was so
on.
great.
Really?
Yeah, he did a lot of great.
I've not seen
Great.
that. I should see that though.
Enjoy,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
enjoy.
Aliens
If
in
you don't
Netflix.
enjoy
Alien
it,
Like Flint, I think,
don't
is on Netflix right
don't
now.
destroy someone
There's
else's
no
enjoyment of
aliens
it.
in
That's
Like
all I
Flint,
gotta
but
say.
The climactic scene is.
There's
in
no
outer
point
space.
in it.
No way.
Yes, it
Life's
is.
too short.
Life's
too short to hate.
Spaceship that launches, and Flint gets.
You
on
cannot
and
you
saves the
can
world.
dislike
It's a secret
something,
agent
but
ship.
don't destroy other people's enjoyment of something they
Okay,
enjoy.
that's very cool. I like that. I
That
like
is my
So,
word of the day.
You know,
That is
when
my
we started talking about it, you guys are saying that you
That
like
is
it,
my
and then all these problems with it.
lesson
Did
for
we
today.
actually like this movie?
Don't
I
be a
liked it,
douche.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
did too.
okay.
It's
Be
a
nice to
summer-
people.
It's what I want in a summer movie.
It wasn't
Okay.
great, but it was entertaining, and it did what it did its job. Its job was to make an alien movie with some scary alien stuff.
Yeah,
in
okay.
it.
If you don't like
And
fursuits,
it
that's
didn't
fine. I don't.
Transcend that.
I don't
but,
have to be
but,
into
I
fursuits.
did
Other
enjoy
people
it.
are.
People that
Let
were
them
working
enjoy
the,
it. That's
you know,
all I'm
VFX
saying.
And all the
Who
blood
cares?
stuff and everything, they did a top.
Who cares
Yeah,
what
they
someone
did. They
else
really
is
did.
doing?
The
Worry
sound
about
and
what
the
you're
music
doing.
and, maybe the story could have been a little more cohesive,
Yeah.
but I guess it really doesn't matter when you're just having a good time with popcorn in your mouth and you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, look at this again. Oh my God.
I have a feeling this was one of those where they're like, well, the script needs to be fixed, and then someone else said, we start filming in June. You know? They just went ahead with it, no matter what problems they solved or didn't solve. You know,
It's incredible to see how many people work on these films. Now the credits are like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I was just bleary-eyed because I needed to use the bathroom, but I think, 3/4 of the way through the credit sequence, I saw a bladder control supervisor. And that was my cue that I could go pee.
wow.
Yeah,
Bladder
yeah, I have
control
to. I actually
supervisor.
spilled a whole drink
What?
on me. Frank
She
saw
did.
the entire thing just went down me. It was just like glop glop. It felt like a chest bursting scene, and I just spent like 10 minutes patting myself down. It looked dirty.
I had to give back my AA medallion just because I was sitting next to Karen.
What were you drinking that you spilled on?
Oh, I just had a regular cocktail. I always get one with my popcorn and my dinner, since we're at Alamo Draft House, and I didn't get to have a sip of it when I came back from the bathroom. Just knocked it over trying to not bump into anybody or anything.
You get attacked by winos on the subway.
You know, it was really cool.
My scent was definitely on. Yes, point.
What was
that
cool,
point.
and this is just gives you an idea that like kind of people that go to the Alamo to see movies, not people who are disruptive. The woman sitting right next to me, it was a pretty packed theater. Sitting right next to me, she hands me a whole bunch of napkins to give to you.
That was so sweet of her. It was very sweet. I just I can't believe how people were so nice and not giving me too much attention, and
well, you know,
until I got on the G train home, and then they were just staring at me.
Air bladder
But,
props.
I was okay.
If you go to the Alamo,
What?
which, by the way, if there's one in your city, that's where you should go to see any movie that you want to see that's playing there. They have an announcement: no talking or texting during the movie. You will be thrown out. They're really hard ass about it, and it's great. There's no announcement about no spilling drinks on yourself.
Well, I did not break a single rule with that.
Because it's not as loud when it doesn't disturb other people.
I did say shit.
Yeah.
But that could have alluded to anything.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. The Alamo I went to was being protested by a bunch of xenomorphs because it was an all-human screening of a movie. They couldn't take it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so.
And by the way, that could end up being a podcast that we do very soon. Which is Wonder Woman.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, is that out?
That's coming out, I think, next week.
This week. That's all you
Maybe
see.
this week or next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll definitely go back to the movies, and if we can't, then we'll just do a Netflix movie. I like switching it up. It seems like a fun time, and I did definitely have a good time watching the Alien movies again, and watching Alien again, Aliens.
What's the best one, do you think, out of all of them?
Aliens.
Aliens, the second one?
Yeah.
I have a low
Jim
tolerance
Cameron
for
one,
hate.
I
Many
really
people,
like that.
The only argument you get is for anyone is they'd say
Like-
the first
like-
one's the best.
The
Very
first one's
cynical.
really good, but my personal preference is the second one for sure.
I mean, even
the
like
one that I go
cynical
back to and watch
jokes
over and over again
sometimes.
is
I don't
number
know.
two.
It's just like it gets to me.
Even though
It's
number
like,
one is really,
stop
really
perpetuating this
And his number one was
destructive
the one that had the
behavior
bladder
towards
control
certain
expert.
people.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry,
I
I
got shot
can't
in
help
the
myself, people. Please, somebody help me.
But yeah, I'm glad we got to go see this movie. Unfortunately, it tanked. It did great in the beginning, and then it went down 71%.
Is it a flop?
It was a flop, but Rotten Tomatoes says
it's
good.
made its budget back.
Yeah.
They're gonna make but my prediction is that they'll do another one, but Ridley Scott won't direct it.
I think that he's going to hand it off because a lot of people are talking
Yeah.
about that. I don't know if they're going to do the Alien Awakenings one, or they were going to do Alien 5
Awakening.
with I don't know how to say his name.
They
right,
don't need
Neil
to make
Blomkamp.
more Alien movies. I honestly.
Is that still in the works?
They said no, but
Yeah.
who knows? They said
I would
yes
love
and
to
no.
see him do a take on this
Is
franchise.
he the District 9 guy? Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Yes.
Yeah.
great. Although not all
I thought he
of
did.
his movies are that great, though. The one with Matt Damon and Jodie Foster was a disappointment.
Yeah.
The one that,
Oh, Elysium.
yeah. And,
Yeah, that
and the
was
one
terrible.
Chappie was okay, but not great.
Chappie was like
Yeah.
a little film.
Yeah.
It should have. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it wasn't great.
But
It wasn't-
District 9 is one of the best sci-fi
haven't seen
films
Chappie,
of
actually.
our
I
modern
agree.
era.
Well,
yeah.
Absolutely.
it'd be fun to see him tackle a franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that could be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the whole story is there, and he has like the Bible book of all the characters and all the xenomorphs, and maybe he could make something cool out of it.
Well, I kind of think
Jesus!
too that maybe it would be good to do like a low-budget alien movie. That's just basic.
A guy in a suit.
Yeah,
We want a guy in a suit.
But they're going to have a hard time coming up with new, different kind of thrills because they've been in all of the movies a few times already.
Maybe they should focus on getting a really good story together
That
that
might
has
help.
some aliens in it.
That
All
might
these
help.
executives in agreement were like, nah, that won't
Yeah.
sell.
No.
Sorry,
Well,
something
how about titties?
happened.
Yes.
Something good happened. I'll just say that.
Alien versus Guy. Anga, anga, anga.
All right, cool, man. I think we got this, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing, and thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis Morningstar, for all the
Thanks,
things that you
Travis.
do.
Thank you, Tony Kniff, for writing our theme song.
Yes, thank you.
And,
Thank you, Tony.
And thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening to the end.
Super Alien 5 Turbo.
Thanks, Trace.
Oh God, Toby Neko on YouTube. Utterly adorable. That's cute. Really cute. Okay, I'm gonna play another podcast because I really like listening to the Mads. I kind of want to play last podcast on the left, but I'm saving that for my trips when I go to work. So let's see, what do we got here? What's a good one? Oh God, they watched Ghost in a Shell. Oh no, I'm curious. All right. Oh, they saw. They saw both Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's see. They saw Get Out, Jason Bourne, John Wick, Kong Skung Island. Yes, they saw Kong Skung Island. Let's watch Skung Island. Star Trek Beyond, Oh God. I want to know what they thought of Suicide Squad. I'm almost afraid. Oh. So it seems like they just kind of pick, like...
We got movie sign with the Mads. We've got movie sign with the Mads. We've got movie sign with the Mads. Movie sign with the Mads.
Hi, I'm Frank Conniff.
And I'm Trace Beaulieu.
I kind of like
And
that
I'm
song.
Carolina Hidalgo, and this is Movie Sign with the Mads. And this week we're talking about the movie that everyone's talking about, Suicide Squad.
Everyone's talking about it? Wow,
What's a
it must be good.
skung?
Yeah, it was great.
I don't even know
Who's
what
talking
a
about it?
skung
The people
is.
that haven't seen it yet, because the people that have seen it don't like it so much.
That's you guys. I know Frank hated it.
I did not like this movie. Sorry to offend all of you people who tried to shut down the Rotten Tomatoes website because it got a low rating. I'm not a fan. But Carolina, you liked it though, right?
I did enjoy it. I
Oh,
went
no.
in, and I had fun. I was like, oh, this is a terrible movie, but you know what it was? It was superhero porn. That's what it was to me. I visually stimulated, audibly stimulated, and that's all that it needed to be.
Porn because it fucked me in the ass.
I didn't hate it. I went in with my expectations were extremely low, so that helped me through the stupidity. But I kind of think that if you're going into a forest of stupidity and you see a stupid tree, you shouldn't be surprised. The only plot really, it was just to get these guys together. It made no sense.
Yeah. It made no sense. The plot is, for those of you, and
Why
a
did
lot
I
of you have
draw
seen
this?
it because it's a gigantic blockbuster hit, despite the fact...
Hey, hang on. I got to get a pencil because I want to write down what the plot was because I have no fucking idea.
Okay. The Viola Davis, who's from...
Amanda Waller.
From who knows where. She's having and Trace, were you like me when she was having the dinner early on with the other like Navy and Joint Chiefs of Staffs? They were in this restaurant by themselves.
Yeah.
And, it looks like she's having a steak. That
That steak looked great.
Yeah.
I know it was extremely distracting, and I've never seen actors eat so much in a scene that wasn't scenery.
Yes. My dinner with Andre didn't have as much eating.
There we go.
No, it was
Skung
making
Island.
me
Bye,
very
Skung
hungry,
Island.
and all I could
Back
think
to
about
otters.
was the Mexican dinner I was going to have after watching this movie.
So anyway, her whole thing is, what if Superman were a bad guy? I think it would go something like this. No, she didn't say that, but she was like, what if Superman was a bad guy?
Something
we need
like
to
this.
protect ourselves. This is a guy with super heroic powers. What if someone like that,
Like General Zod.
yeah, like someone like that who could take over the world, how do we fight that? Well, we need a really hot chick who looks good in fishnets. And she doesn't have any superpowers at all. And Will Smith, who is very charismatic and has a good way with a wisecrack, he has no superpowers either. So she's starting the superhero super
Was Will
villain
Smith
team.
wisecracking
All these
in that
villains who
movie?
have no superpowers,
I thought he had
except the one
absolutely
guy
nothing to
who could
say.
do fire.
I haven't seen the
and
movie.
he
I
was,
don't.
like, conflicted about it.
Yeah, Diablo.
I really
yeah,
don't
Yeah, he-
Well,
want
you
to.
got to start your staff somehow, and hopefully you'll get some new hires in.
Right.
I was very curious as why they keep teasing these other superheroes like the Flash, he has a superpower,
Right.
or Aquaman, which I'm not quite sure what his superpower is yet, other than he can get wet
swim?
and talk to fish. But they don't use these guys. If they want to save the world from another Superman, why don't they get the Flash and Aquaman?
And also,
Okay, let's
we
see.
need to save the
well,
world from another Superman, but the main villain in this is a Harry Potter person. Is like a
those are
witch,
cute
right?
colors.
Oh, the Enchantress.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's from the comics, though.
Hey,
yeah.
stop knocking stuff
that was
over,
probably not a
Schwartzy.
good choice for a villain. No.
You
No,
knock over
she wasn't
stuff.
a compelling villain at all. I didn't think so. For one thing, for 1 minute she was this, just the woman whose body she took over. That was all very confusing, didn't you think?
Yeah. Well, and then they've got her heart in a box, so they
Right.
have her
What?
fully contained. It's
She's
a heart,
got a
in, a
heart in a
box, and
box.
yet they think they can keep an entire squad of psychotic murderers
Harry Otter.
under control. Well, they do
Harry
have bombs in their
Otter.
head.
Well, that's a good point because they did one of the plot elements was that they had this woman's heart in a box. Plus, there were some kind of stupid things too.
There were a lot of things I liked about this film. I liked Margot Robbie. I thought she was great as Harley Quinn.
She was
I don't have
fantastic.
anything else to compare it to because I haven't seen or read any of the comic books or seen the animated stuff.
She was very much like that, especially with the animated series.
I feel she was a good choice. She did a good job with it. I feel that the way the character was written, the
Sorry, I'm still
conception of
laughing
it
about
was very,
Skung
to me,
Island.
like, at the start, very like
so stupid.
I'm crazy. Just like kind of a cliched like version of a crazy person. So,
Well, we needed to be reminded that they're bad guys.
Yeah.
So she told us every 10 minutes.
so
Well, that's the other thing. As a viewer, I was conflicted to go, well, am I supposed to like these guys because they're all really horrible, murdering, rapist people?
right. No, well, yeah. They try to make it. Oh, well, you should sympathize with Will Smith. He's a killer. He wanted to kill Batman, but his daughter. He has a daughter that he cares about. I mean, it's just such.
Doesn't the guy that he killed at the beginning of the movie have a family that
Yeah,
he should care about?
exactly.
That was a mob boss. Come on, he was about to sing. Like,
Yeah.
Mary.
He does have a family that was.
Anyway, my point is he's not a superhero. I'll just point that out. Right? He's not a supervillain either. He's
Okay, so he's not a superhero. The Australian guy isn't a superhero.
what was though he was good with a boomerang.
Captain
Really?
Boomerang.
He was
No, I'm
good
just
at
thinking
drinking
about this
beer.
now.
I'm Captain Boomerang.
His utility belt had a boomerang and a can of beer. He always had a can of beer. That's
And,
to prove he's Australian.
He once
Foster's.
he once fought off a bunch of Australian police that were trying to arrest him just by showing them a Crocodile Dundee movie to put them to sleep, and he was able to make his getaway. That's another thing. This guy's talent is that he can throw a fucking boomerang.
Yeah, well, he had a camera to it so that way he could see the thing, but then he was caught by the flash. Remember?
okay.
Oh, I could
Yes.
throw a
So not
fucking
superhero.
boomerang.
Not a
Yeah.
superhero.
Or villain.
Slipknot.
Why the
No,
fuck
what
are
was
these
his-
people
that's the
talking
guy
about
that got killed
Harambe?
right
Shut
away.
shut your
Yeah,
memes.
beginning.
His superpower was that he got killed right away. They had to have someone.
Oh, yeah. No, he
I
tried
can
to
only
escape.
use this power once.
Yeah. It just
Yeah, Suicide
so then
Squad
we had
just
Diablo,
did not
who
need to
truly
be.
had his superpower.
He was a real metahuman, that one.
Croc, what was his deal? He was a crocodile man.
what the hell was the deal with the crocodile?
Well, you see,
guy?
there's a lot of deleted scenes, obviously, in
is
this
there?
movie. Yeah, there's a lot of backstory, and his backstory.
See, that's a problem with the movie that you go, well, there's a lot of stuff we didn't show you. That's
Right.
what a movie's for.
I know.
Well, plus, though, when you have so many characters to introduce, nobody gets a chance to really get to know any of the. I guess Will Smith, because he's a movie star, they spent more time with him. You
Yeah.
kind of knew what his whole deal was, but. That's one of the problems of this movie is so many. The first half of it, and was actually the part I enjoyed more when it was all. It's like they were trying to fight the bad guys through the power of exposition. It was
Yes.
just like constant. Oh, here's this person. Here's their backstory. Here's this person. Here's their backstory. So it's very clunky in terms of storytelling.
Well, and I don't think any of these characters are strong enough to carry a movie on their own.
No.
And they weren't
Get the
compelling enough to
hardness
carry
out.
a movie as a group.
Right.
So it's just kind of a mess, the whole thing.
Yeah, and Will Smith, he kind of evoked Deadpool. He has a similar name to Deadpool even, right?
Oh yeah, Deadshot.
Yeah, and Deadpool was so much... And Deadpool, which I loved, that's, they based the whole movie around the one character, and then there's a couple of other, like, X-Men in it, and then there's a couple of villains. It's all very manageable. It's all very easy to comprehend, but when you have literally, like, the dirty, they would have had to cut it down for it to be the Dirty Dozen, to get it down.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Deadpool yet, and I'm very much looking forward to that. What studio put that one out?
That was Marvel.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes. And it's funny how much they're trying to be like Marvel, with all of the, every film is connected to another film now, and I feel DC is doing it in a very clunky way, with having Batman in this movie, and
which I liked.
And having, you like the Ben Affleck Batman.
I do like the Ben Affleck Batman. I think he's
Ben Affleck.
He's got the stature. He's got the kind of the Frank Miller vibe of Batman.
Right.
I'm Ben Affleck.
Christian Bale just looks kind of tiny.
Yeah, but so
Christian Bale
actually,
is
as
tiny.
we were leaving the theater, we started leaving because I was very enthusiastic about the idea of leaving the theater.
Oh yeah.
And as
Thank
we
you,
were walking up
Blueberry.
the aisle, suddenly the credits end, and there's a new scene with Bruce Wayne setting up the Justice League movie, and it was an incredibly uninteresting, very...
I think they were having dinner again.
Yeah. He's having dinner with Viola Davis, and his whole thing is just leave it to the Bruce Wayne Corporation. I've got this. And so, in other words, the Justice League are going to take care of whatever the next thing. It just, none of it really falls together the way the Marvel films kind of fit into each other. It just shows you how skillful the Marvel people are.
That scene was teasing another superhero that we're going to meet called Maitre D. And his superpowers are he can deliver your food on time and get your order correct.
Yes.
Yeah, he can pair Malbec with a great porterhouse too.
Also, he can do that mouth popping noise that Italian waiter in all those movies. I don't know the guy's name.
Yes.
It's not Vito Scotti. It's the other guy who isn't Vito Scotti.
But he would hang out with Vito Scotti.
Yes.
They go, what's your deal? You're on Gilligan's Island. I'm the guy that hits my mouth with my hand.
But you guys, I know the whole plot. There's a lot of plot problems, a lot of just character development problems as well. But I mean, visually, it looked kind of cool. Like the outfits were kind of cool.
Yeah,
a little bit here.
yeah.
I mean, like Harley Quinn looked great. Joker looked pretty good, except for the tattoos.
I didn't mind the Joker so much. I thought I was going to hate that more.
It feels like they're holding, it feels like you're not going to, they don't even want you to pass judgment on the Joker till whatever the next film is, because he's kind of he's really a minor character.
They cut most of his scenes. Jared Leto was not happy with that. They said they could actually make a whole Joker film with all the scenes that they cut.
Oh, really?
I think there was just enough Joker in there for me.
Yeah. But I have to say, and Jared Leto's a really good actor. It didn't seem, from the scenes that I saw, it didn't seem like he came up with anything new as a way to play the Joker. It didn't have any of that kind of uniqueness to it.
They're kind of
it might have
gentle about this movie.
His Joker was, I guess you could. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
could
not to
see
say
him
that
just,
being
kind of trying very
positive
hard,
about a movie is bad.
Like
it's just like I'm surprised.
Because what I saw from the movie, he's like that one kid in the group of friends who tries really hard. He's like the rich kid, and he's wants to be so badass, and everyone's just like, yeah, whatever. Just they leave him alone. No one's scared of the Joker in this movie. No one cares at all what he's doing.
Right.
He was so inconsequential in that way.
It still kind of amazes me that these movies are so big and there's so much history in the comic books of these characters doing, really kind of cool stuff that they just can't get it right in the movies.
No.
When you have a movie like Kick-Ass, which doesn't have as, decades-long history of character development, it blows this movie out of the water.
It totally does. I loved Kick-Ass.
Yeah, that was great.
The first one, the second one was very disappointing.
Yes, second one was just a rehash and not very good.
Well, the guy who made Suicide Squad, David Ayers, he's done things in the past that I've enjoyed. I enjoyed Training Day, which he wrote.
Grant
That
Gordon.
was great.
Denzel
Wait,
Washington,
really?
Very entertaining movie. Fury.
I feel like
was
I
a
need to
really
see it
entertaining,
just to hear Jared
World
Leto
War
as
II
Joker
movie.
going.
This is a guy who obviously is talented, and I feel
That's more of a
when
penguin
someone
laugh,
like this
isn't it?
makes a movie. Whenever you get into that realm of big budget superhero movies where everything for the studio everything is at stake.
Let me have
They're
example
spending so
of
much
those
money.
who oppose me.
They want to make so much money off it that you can just it just all has the stench of the boardroom.
You're stuck
in it,
here.
in like every scene. That every scene was. He got tons of notes about everything. They were like, "Oh, we have to have this in there. We have to, it's a superhero thing, but we have to appeal to the Harry Potter audience. So we have to have ghosts and and all of this stuff." And to me,
You're stuck here.
it hurts the film. A guy like that, I don't know anything about the circumstance of the making of this film, but I feel like that guy, David Ayer, if Warner Brothers had just said, okay, we're hiring you to make Suicide Squad, go make the film, show it to us when you're done, I bet that would be a better film.
Yeah, that's what happened, actually. They had to re-edit it a bunch of times because of what happened with Batman versus Superman, and Trailer Park Incorporated, they edited the trailer, and they were so impressed with the trailer, they actually had them come over and,
Oh, no!
the movie, so you could see
Wait,
comparing to
really?
what the director wanted. And
Oh,
what the other guys
God.
wanted. And it
That
kind of
is
did, like,
awful.
a mashup of both, but it just didn't, fit together. And that's
Hollywood's got to start trusting directors again.
Yeah.
They have to hire directors that they know can deliver, and then just let them do.
Yes, like Kubrick. Yeah, they let Kubrick do whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
And now we
And
have the
his-
13 best
Or
movies
just
ever.
stop making these movies.
Well, they're not gonna do that.
What?
Well, I think I've been very vocal. I don't like the Christopher Nolan movies, Batman
Yeah, I
movies.
don't
That's
like 'em
just
either,
my
honestly.
personal taste. But but that is an example though where I really, from what I've read, they really let Christopher Nolan do the films that he wanted to do, and the result was that they were really successful. And most people, not me, most people really liked those films.
I'm
So-
one of them, yes.
yeah, so that's that's a much better policy. And what's interesting too is that I noticed, and other people noticed this too, there are scenes in the trailer that are not in the movie.
Yep.
There's because they're sitting at the bar, and there's a scene in the trailer where the guy who can make fire asks for a glass of water, and Harley Quinn says, "Oh, that's a good idea." That's nowhere in the film at all. And I was looking forward to that moment.
Yeah, when they were all ordering their drinks.
Yeah.
I know. They cut so many scenes. On YouTube, actually, they have, the 20 deleted scenes, and they explain all of them.
Do they actually show the deleted
Wow.
scenes?
No, they don't show them because they don't have them yet.
But they saw them in the script?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's probably like a Redditor or somebody who, broke into, David's house or something. I don't know.
The Russians hacked into Warner Brothers.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of deleted scenes about that and about the backstories, and also about Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship being more abusive than it is loving, because that's how it really was in the cartoons and the comics and stuff. And she's just really in love with him, and he just doesn't give a shit kind of thing. But, yeah, they just left that all out. They cut it all out.
As it is, the movie's like 2
You're
hours,
stuck here.
right? If
Yeah.
you're part of the filmmaking team making this film, you know that all those scenes are going to get cut, right? You know you're not going to be able to put in, if you have a whole story for Harley Quinn and Joker and a whole story for Will Smith and all of this stuff, that's not going to make it into the final cut, right?
Yeah, there's so much to it, exactly what you're saying. There was so much to it, but they were actually really pushed to get a release date in August.
Right.
And I think David was very upset by that.
Was this the case of a film where they had a release date and then they had to make a movie to fit into that time frame?
That might be it.
That's sort of it, a little bit. But they had a great soundtrack. I can't stop listening to the soundtrack, guys.
The soundtrack.
Captain Joe Crancourt.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I
agree,
am
but
Captain
that
Joe
doesn't make the movie.
Crancourt.
But that, yes, and that's another example where they just take what's successful from other films. That for me, once again, he talks about this with Star
okay,
Trek
I'm gonna
too.
stop.
Guardians
I'm
of the
sorry.
Galaxy had retro songs in it, so let's have you know, when the bad guy is driving up. Let's play "Sympathy for the Devil" by the Stones, or maybe we could come up with something cliche. We'll see.
At least it did. It was the Stones, right? It did sound like the Stones.
That's the thing. On that level of Hollywood, they can fucking pay for everything that they want.
Yeah,
because I
to
remember Interview with a Vampire, where I think the last song in the movie is "Sympathy for the Devil," but it's a sound-alike.
Oh, really?
And that really bothers me when they do that.
Yeah.
Because you know what the song is, you know what it sounds like, and then they cheap out like that because they spent all the money on someone's trailer or something.
Yeah,
God,
well, the whole
Interview with a
movie,
Vampire, that's a
Suicide Squad,
movie
is
that-
kind of a sound-alike movie. It's kind of like not the actual.
I
real
remember watching with
superhero
my
movie you wanted
ex
to see,
like
but-
years
a big
ago, and I was
complaint
just
online
like,
was the fact that
"Wow,
they didn't
this
spend
is
enough time
this is
together
so
to
stupid."
bond, to be
Yes.
And she was
a
like,
real
"No, it's
squad."
romantic."
That's
I
very
was like,
true. There's nothing.
Yeah.
No,
in the film
it's really
developed on any
stupid.
line like that where
"You're just not
and
romantic."
for instance,
this is stupid.
The guy who, and this is, I guess, this guy must be a character from the comics. The military guy who leads them.
I didn't
Flag,
say
yes.
that.
Yeah, he is.
So
I did
he,
think it was
he
stupid
has
though.
a relationship with the girl,
But I was
who-
more like,
who becomes the
okay,
Enchantress, right?
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
I
the
will,
June Monroe.
And then
I
at
will
the
go ahead and
end,
watch this.
At the end of the movie, they.
I don't regret watching it,
he
honestly.
finds out, oh,
I
she's
just didn't
okay, and
really
they,
think it
you
was
know,
all
they
that
embrace,
appealing.
Everything's okay.
But then again, I'm not really a
watching, you're like,
vampire
yeah, that's great because I was really
person.
emotionally
I don't
invested
really
in this. From
dig
that
the whole
one scene
vampire
they
lore
had
thing.
earlier.
That was also cut out. A lot of their love scenes, was cut out too. You're right. I
It's
really
like
didn't
one
care
of
about
those
their
things that
relationship.
kind of
I
is
thought that she was
overdone,
just
like
gonna be dead.
zombies right
But
now.
Captain Boomerang,
Maybe in a while it'll come
kinda,
back.
He found a heart and everything. He broke it apart. Ricky broke it apart, and then all of a sudden she was okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's. It sounds like, Carolina, there's another movie that we need to watch
Yeah.
in order to make sense of this one.
Well, we're gonna probably get an ultimate edition on Blu-ray that we all have to pay $40 for
Right.
again.
Wow,
So
it's
I've spent over $100 already.
it's like getting served a steak and there's nothing on the plate, and they go, "Well, you got to order the other meal." Steak.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
pretty much
the
what it
very
is.
last scene of this movie was obviously the setup for the sequel, right?
Yeah.
Where the Joker breaks.
Oh
breaks,
yeah. He gets Harley Quinn out,
And
and also
that's-
they're set up for Justice.
Well,
That
And
might
we're
be
supposed
a
to-
They did
thing.
release
Oh, are they
that
gonna be
new
a
one
Justice League movie? Is that what
recently.
they're-
I don't think
getting
those
ready
guys
for?
are, but they're
That
setting up something.
Batman and Harley
Obviously with
Quinn
Bruce Wayne and
movie.
Batman.
Are we ever
Which is
gonna
like-
get to see the Flash? Because he just, unless we just saw the Flash's entire performance in this film, because he's so fast.
Yeah.
No, we get to see the Flash soon again. I don't know if he gets his own movie. I know Wonder
Was the
Woman is
Flash in
coming
that
out next
movie?
year. We saw the trailer for that.
Yeah,
in
Wonder
theaters.
Woman.
And then we're gonna see Justice League, obviously.
And she's in that too. And
Right.
but it's really too bad that Superman was killed in Batman v Superman, because I guess that means Superman will never be in another movie again.
Yeah, no. Oh,
It's
yeah,
really
there's a
just
new
a shame.
Superman movie, Frank.
No, but he was killed. I don't see how they could possibly do another Superman movie. They had his funeral and everything. The idea that they would bring him back from the dead is too absurd. They would never do that.
All right, just don't go on Reddit ever again.
So who's going to be in the Justice League? It's Batman, Superman, Aquaman.
Cyborg. and
Why are they
Aqualung.
calling it
Woman.
Justice League and not Super Friends? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I used to watch
Super
Super
Friends.
Friends.
Because there is no justice.
Oh, so someone's actually suing Warner Brothers for this
Oh,
movie
really?
because
Oh,
he
who?
felt cheated that he didn't get to see enough Joker. And he's
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. He drove from Scotland, where he lives, to London to watch the movie, and he's suing for gas money.
Wow, that's
Not kidding.
I saw that. That's the case of Warner Brothers v. Sad Pathetic Man.
They should put him in the next movie. That's a superpower.
Yeah.
If you're that arrogant and stupid.
I know. Well, he's like, well, when you watch a trailer and there's a lot of Joker in there, you should be expected to have some Joker in it.
Well, it's like me. I sued them because they didn't have that water scene that I saw in the trailer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
But you
Yeah.
saw it in the trailer. Why should we show it
No
to you
Wonder
again in the
Twins
movie?
You know what? I'm thinking maybe the trailer, and this would be cool if they did this on purpose, because when I grew up, and my friends and I used to always comment on this.
I don't know
was
why
the
I'm
fact
drawing a bunch
that
of like otter
superhero
girls.
comics, and this is the 60s I'm talking about, they always had covers of scenes that were never in the comic book.
Oh, really?
There'd be a scene on the cover, and you would never see it. It would be some
Yeah.
really
I guess it's just
dramatic
kind of like the idea.
scene, and it would be, oh no, Aquaman is dead, and then they'd never have that. And we actually, I don't know if you remember, Trace, at Mystery Science Theater, we were brainstorming one time, and an idea was floated around that let's start every episode with a scene that's not in the show, and it always ends with, oh no, Joel is dead, and that's the theme song. But we
that's
never
so
we never
funny.
did that. But
So
I
this
should've
is
done
kind
that.
of staying true to the comic books
yeah,
then.
that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're like purposely, we're going to make a trailer, and it's going to be the coolest trailer ever. And then when you go, nothing from it will be in the movie. And if you complain, you'll be like, hey, you're not enough of a comic book geek to get the fact that we're showing you. This is very true to comic books of the 60s.
Superman v Batman, but then when you get there, it's like with 6 you get egg roll.
And I'm suing them because there wasn't enough Brian Keith. But Google that, folks. Anyway.
But I did watch the Dirty Dozen this week.
Oh,
because-
did you? I
Yeah.
love the
I
Dirty
Because it's like a
might
comic
make
book version of
this
Dirty
one
Dozen, right? You know?
a
Sort
little
of.
bit more orange.
these
Only
12
the Dirty
guys.
Dozen's better.
It is a tad better. It's a lot better. Yes, it has great actors. It's a what, 1967?
1967.
Yeah.
I saw it when it came out in its
Maybe
initial
not
release.
No
that
way.
one.
I
No,
saw
that's
it
a-
at least probably a half dozen times.
Yeah, there we go.
Why not a dozen?
I don't know. My parents hated me. I'm turning it into a one-man show. But
That's a film that you can follow the action. You know,
Well,
it's
for one thing, I remember when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, like, there's nothing I liked more than action in movies, and like the James Bond movies were my favorite. And I remember literally thinking this at the time, why can't all movies have as much action as The Dirty Dozen?
Mm-hmm.
And now when you watch it now, it's interesting to note that there's no action really for the first hour or so in it. It's all just the Dirty Dozen all training and interacting with each other, and all of those actors are so great. The scenes are great. Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson and John Cassavetes, you're so caught up in it that it's, you don't think about, oh, this is an action packed. You're just thinking this is really compelling. But what they did, and this was unusual for a movie back then, was finally when they got to the chateau, then it was a fucking 20-minute action sequence, which was that just had everything in it that you could want, and that was very unusual in those days to see an action sequence that was that long, and that's why I thought at the time that The Dirty Dozen, and it really did have much more action than most movies that you saw at the time. But another thing about The Dirty Dozen too is the simplicity of it. Their mission, and it made sense, it didn't have the holes that Suicide Squad, their mission was simply to get to this chateau and kill as many fucking Nazis as they could. That was like the whole mission.
That was it. That was it.
And they did that, and you could see that Inglourious Basterds, Quentin Tarantino was very influenced by that, because the Inglourious Basterds, that was their mission, was just to kill as many Germans as they could.
in the Dirty Dozen, when they got to the chateau in Dirty Dozen, I was hoping it would have been the home of the Von Trapp family.
No, unfortunately,
Lots of singing then.
the
That
Von
would have
Trapps,
satisfied so many things.
they escaped before that. They were the the saccharine dozen.
I loved the movie. Donald Sutherland was one of my
he
favorites.
was great
He
in
was
that.
so great. Trini Lopez was awesome.
Poor Trini Lopez. Who was the superhero that was killed in this movie?
Slipknot.
That
He was a Slipknot.
That was Trini Lopez.
Well, it's because
He
Trini
broke
Lopez
his-
had a music career that he
Yeah.
had to tend to. That's why they killed him like really early.
Yeah, he got his neck was broke before they even got to the chateau. That was really sad.
Yeah, but what you were saying is right about like the first hour they spend like building their compound and then
Right.
training and doing jumping jacks. You're watching guys doing jumping jacks and it's great.
Right.
You know, so the last 20 minutes you're watching the whole action scene go down and the people are getting shot left and right. You already known these people for 2 hours.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you're following them.
You're
every
caught
single...
up, and even though they're all scumbags, you care about them,
Yeah.
and you want them to succeed. Even Franco, played by John Cassavetes, like you're rooting
I loved
for him.
Franco.
Yeah,
That's a good
Walker.
color.
Yeah, Clint Walker is, and that's another. We actually talked about this
Angela Loha.
when we left the movie theater because there was a trailer for
Lindsay
the,
Lohan.
Magnificent Seven, which when it comes out will be discussed on this podcast.
Yay.
But in Suicide Squad, and I don't think movies now, because they're so into sequels, I don't think they're very hesitant about killing off characters. And the Dirty Dozen, all but 3 are, in fact, everyone in the Dirty Dozen is killed except Charles Bronson.
Just one.
And Lee Marvin and Richard J. Kell, another awesome character actor from that era. He's still standing. And the Western Magnificent Seven with Steve McQueen and Yul Brynner, like all but 3 of them are killed. I will bet you anything that the new
Spoiler.
I'll bet you anything that the new Magnificent Seven, like most of them, will survive.
Damn it.
That's my prediction for that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to keep Ethan Hawke, right?
Yeah, because they're going to want them all back
Pratt.
for the
Chris Pratt's not gonna die.
the Magnificent Eight will be the next one after that.
They're gonna add someone to it. What do you mean? There's more?
You talked about the Tarantino movie. Have you seen the original Bo Svensson?
No, I haven't.
It's worth checking out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's spelled correctly, so it's easier to find.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of like it when they have
it's
like
a grindhouse film. It's
dark, cute eyes like
made
that.
back in the.
And did Tarantino take any of the plot of it, or just the overall vibe of?
Just kind of the vibe of it. I love Inglourious Basterds. It's one of my favorite Tarantino's.
That is literally my favorite Tarantino film.
Yeah.
Inglourious Basterds.
That one's a great one.
Yeah.
I agree. I like it too. I like war movies though. I mean, because we talk about Apocalypse Now all the time.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Apocalypse Now.
Full Metal Jacket.
Thank God people go to war, because we get great movies out of it.
Fantastic movies.
It's interesting how we always start with a crappy movie and then we have to get satisfaction about talking about these movies that it should have been like this. It should have been like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Magnificent Seven too is the same plot in a way. They're all sort of bad guys in it, and that they're all like guns for hire. They're all people who supposedly have mercenary instincts. They just want to make money, and you can hire them to go and kill people.
But they did a better job of establishing the characters.
Because they spent most of the movie establishing the characters.
This film, all they do is give you a graphic, like, here's Slipknot, and they give you all his stats, like a video game.
Yeah.
And it's like you're supposed to absorb that right away, and it's just not satisfying to get engaged with the character.
Yeah,
so it's a bad mishmash of movie making and video game storytelling.
Right.
And it's not. It just doesn't blend well.
And I'm sure a Warner Brothers executive who heard you say that would say, yes, exactly. That's exactly what we were hoping would happen.
It did, what's the video game film Edgar Wright did a few years ago? Scott Pilgrim. Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim. I did enjoy Scott Pilgrim.
And that brings those graphic elements of a video game into a movie very successfully.
Right.
But everybody's just using that now as a cliche.
Yeah.
And it's weak filmmaking.
Yeah, it is. I remember when I watched Scott Pilgrim for the first few minutes, because I'm not part of that whole video game generation, so I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm not going to like this," but it totally won me over. You
It's
know?
great.
Yeah,
It is great, and I like the whole visual, everything they did with it, and also with the old school video games I used to watch all the time. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
he's been using
play.
those techniques and riffs, all the way back through Spaced, the sitcom with that Edgar Wright directed
Aloha.
with
Oh yeah, with Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah,
I have not seen that.
Yeah,
it's great. So I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's worth watching because you see the origins of all of that stuff, and it makes perfect sense for Edgar Wright to make that movie.
Yeah, but I think Scott Pilgrim, I don't think was that big a hit at the box office. I think the studio looks at that and they think it's too knowing, you know,
It's too good.
too good, too meta or whatever. So, but then, you know, when they did Deadpool, which you haven't seen yet, so I won't spoil it, but that was an example where they told a straightforward superhero story, but they made it really funny. They commented on it. I did a tweet at the time saying it's the most Mystery Science Theater proof movie I've ever seen because the riffs, they provided the riffs themselves.
I'm going to sue the director for that.
And
wait.
One of the screenwriters wrote me on Twitter and said he thought that was the biggest compliment he ever got.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kiss up.
But that was a really enjoyable. And what is it? Oh, yeah, Marvel. That's right.
It's Marvel.
did that.
Let's just do more Marvel movies then.
We only talk about DC movies on this show just so we can talk about how good Marvel movies are.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, we're assholes.
Well, even the Sony the Spider-Man.
I liked the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. I thought were really good.
I agree.
The next 5 reboots of those, not so much. I know they rebooted again. I think they're rebooting it a second time now.
Are they again?
Yes, I believe so.
And aren't we getting another Fantastic Four? Isn't that coming out again?
No way.
No, that did come out
last.
I'm sure there'll be another Fantastic Four movie at some point.
They've tried that 3 times.
Yeah,
and
it didn't work. And it's funny because the movie, of all the superhero movies that should be a gigantic blockbuster hit, it should be Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is what started the world of superheroes that we know. I might have talked about this on another show.
Yeah, but I just don't think I don't think it transfers to film.
Yeah, I guess not. The
characters. I mean, it's hard to make a stretchy guy look convincing.
Right.
And just give that one up. Just stop making those movies.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four. They're not so fantastic.
Maybe they should do it as a series. And another thing that Marvel is doing, and although I haven't seen, I know there are people who I think who really like Gotham, and there's like a Green Arrow. Aren't there like a couple of DC TV shows?
There's Arrow and then
Flash,
and then Smallville used to be on.
And people, I've never seen them, but people enjoy those shows, right?
Yeah, they're big hits.
Yeah. So, but I was going to say, Marvel, I think, has done really well on Netflix with its series. Daredevil, I've seen both seasons, really good. And Jessica Jones came out at the same time I put out Agoraphobic Action League.
You should sue.
I know. But
I was the star in that one.
Yeah, and that was I wrote a thing about a really depressed female superheroes. But the difference with Jessica Jones is they have her leave the apartment, which I thought was very unrealistic. My depressed superheroes never leave the apartment.
Yeah, no, we stayed in there the whole time.
Until the very end.
Yeah, that's right.
The trailer for Doctor Strange looks very promising.
That
looks great. I want
that's DC.
Bring me photos of the Spider-Man.
No, that's Marvel. Sorry.
No, that's Marvel.
That's Marvel.
I want photos of the Spider-Man.
For DC, I
Come on,
feel like
Spider-Man,
no one's gonna go to his birthday party. You know, like
Made myself laugh.
like I'll watch your movie, DC. I'm
Spider-Man.
DC's having a party, but he wants a Marvel superhero to appear.
Yeah, it's a shame. Although I never, I have to be honest.
Bring me the head of Peter Pat.
I didn't read a lot of Doctor Strange when I was a kid. He wasn't one of my favorites in the Marvel. And I guess maybe because I hadn't taken acid yet.
I was more into Mandrake the Magician.
That was a strip, right? That was a comic strip.
Yeah, that was a strip like Phantom and which I loved. The Phantom was great.
Actually, the one Marvel movie that I would have loved, and it doesn't seem like they're doing it, was my favorite Marvel character as a kid was Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
was my favorite.
That would be
and they've
cool.
kind of are never. I mean, there's elements of those in every Marvel movie. Those gigantic shield hovercrafts. Those are all from the Jim Steranko comic books that I loved. And I bought like a trade paperback collection of them a few years ago, and they held up really well. But that's kind of the Marvel movie that I don't know if they're going to make that I'd love to see would be a Nick Fury movie that really had that kind of action-packed, psychedelic feeling to it. That's the Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic books have that vibe. Well, I guess because they're very 60s. It's very like action-packed, psychedelic, very James Bond, Man from U.N.C.L.E. And it seems like Nick Fury is more just a peripheral character in the Marvel universe these days. And I'm saying give him his own movie.
Because Samuel L. Jackson, I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
now
Unless
that
they do like a
they've
young
heard this,
Samuel
they're finally
Jackson
gonna get on
movie.
it, I'm sure.
I'm going to sue them if they don't.
I'm going to sue them because I went to see the Nick Fury movie and there was no Joker in it.
I know.
And there is a precedence for this case.
Apparently there is. Yeah, you could sue for gas
crazy
money.
Irishman clause or the crazy Scotsman clause.
Oh yeah, he was just very upset.
Oh, and you know who we didn't talk about was the out of nowhere hey, why not the badass ninja chick
Katana.
Oh, Katana.
in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't use her very well. In
Well,
this one.
and she's from the comic books too, I'm
Yes.
guessing.
Yeah.
So my impression of that was like the executives of Warner Brothers were thinking, well, just about everyone is going to be jacking off to Harley Quinn, but maybe some guys are more into this kind of thing. So let's give them something too, like a hot, badass ninja girl.
Yeah. I mean, she was sort of like making sure that they would stay in line and everything, so that she wouldn't like steal their souls with her sword.
Well,
and things
she
like
had
that.
to protect what's his name, the lead guy,
Rick Flag.
Flag.
Yeah,
I
Flag.
can't keep Flag, Fury. I can't keep these guys straight. Now,
And,
he's a great actor. The guy that played that character, he's been on West Wing. He's a really great actor.
he's really good. And now, is that a real thing? She captures souls in her sword.
Yeah, because her
Wow.
husband's in her dead husband, and they cut
That
a
was-
couple scenes from her backstory.
So basically
was so
him
believable.
from
You
Pulp
can't keep
Fiction,
telling me they're cutting this
but
stuff
as
out.
Nick Fury.
they did, I swear.
It's like, well, okay, we're going to sell you this house, but you have to go live in this other house that has furniture in it.
Pretty much, it just
Yeah.
they did cut out a lot of stuff.
Is
I
there
mean,
a
the
nude
movie-
strong bad email?
Now the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, that didn't work. Yeah, that
Wait,
was
wait.
terrible too.
I knew I could convince
loved
you.
the movie. I don't care. I saw it again last night. I totally
liked it.
did.
It's a dumb, stupid
Terrible
summer
movie.
action movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
Wait.
any sense.
Oh
Don't
my
look for
God!
logic,
HomestarRunner.com just
and
updated.
Just have fun, and then when you leave, it washes off.
Yeah.
So in other words, don't make the mistake Carolina made and see
20th anniversary too? Wait, I saw this. I think.
I just scowled the whole time.
Yeah, I saw
I
this.
think if you saw this on an airplane and you were going
Yes.
someplace nice, it would be a fine movie. Or if you see it
Yeah.
on Netflix, what did you pay to see it? What's the ticket price in the
It was $15.99 for us to watch it in standard, and then I paid $18 for the 3D last night.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh Jesus!
I know.
Well, that's the thing about this. That's the thing about this podcast, though, is now I'm going to see movies in theaters that instead of seeing them in their proper place, which is on an airplane.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the
You know,
podcast.
I'm probably
industry
gonna
that's
stop
keeping
in a
Hollywood
bit.
box office
It
strong.
Can
is.
someone tweet at AMC or Regal so we can get free
Yeah,
tickets?
here are my
We're keeping them
here's some
alive,
otter
I can
girls
tell
that I
you.
drew for some
so
reason.
guys, I know. I mean, we had fun shitting on it, but we still recommend it, right? Like if you have nothing to do, you're at home, you have a
I
flu.
wouldn't pay to see it twice.
Like
I know.
Who would do that? Oh, wait a minute.
That
I didn't
would
want
be
to
a-
go home yet, you know. I just,
Anyway, thanks
I
a lot,
wanted to watch
guys,
some more
for joining.
stuff. Anyway, I
Well,
just
you're
wanted to
very
make sure.
devoted to this podcast.
I wanted to make damn sure that.
Good night.